Thank you for joining Wars of the Rosies, and this is The Mystery of the Shape of the Earth. Do we live inside or outside of a large cell? By Profundus XII. An article from Rosicrucian Digest, Volume 10, Number 1, February 1932. The Mystery of the Shape of the Earth. Do we live inside or outside of a large cell? By Profundus XII. For the past 12 or 15 years, we have tried to call the attention of our members to many of the viewpoints of the various fields of science and have tried to encourage a broad vision of many of the larger problems of life so that each one of our students may widen his understanding of the fundamentals of all of the principles involved. Among the most interesting of life's mysteries is that pertaining to our existence on this earth in a purely cosmological sense, as in other cases, where we are attempting to widen the understanding of life's problems and broaden the student's viewpoint. We have presented not only the teachings and understanding of the Rosicrucians, but the teachings and understanding of the philosophers and scientists of other schools and systems that are contrary to our teachings, in order that the real student may understand both sides or the opposite side of the problem. In case of cosmogony, or the study of the earth and the universe, we have purposefully supplemented our regular graded lectures with long extracts and many paragraphs composing special supplementary lectures dealing with this subject and taken from many sources. During the past 15 years, these special magazine articles or lectures dealing with the shape of the earth and our relationship to the earth have aroused intense interest, and occasionally we have been asked whether we, as Rosicrucians, have adopted one viewpoint or the other as the definite and correct understanding. In each and every case, we have tried to make it plain to our members that the whole matter is still unsettled and unproved, and that there is considerable mystery in this subject, which we hope to solve in the next few years. Of the various viewpoints that we have presented, probably the most unique is that which is known as cellular cosmogony, which name was given to it by the well-known philosopher Koresh. When we first introduced this cellular cosmogony into our separate supplemental lectures, we announced in the lodges where the lectures were given verbally and with illustrations on blackboards that Mr. Koresh had derived his interpretation of the cosmogony from the ancient sources and had been the last of many eminent men to test the principles of it in a scientific manner, and thereby adding to the cumulative evidence to support it. Mr. Koresh published a book many years ago dealing with the matter based upon other books dealing with the same subject published in Europe. We have, for instance, a book published in Germany by a scientist named Neupert, which revealed the illusions of the Copernican system of cosmogony and gives very logical reasons for the belief that the Earth is a cell, and that all human existence and all of nature as we observe it exists on the inside of this cell, rather than on the outside of it. One of the very positive statements contained in Neupert's book is that everything visible to us is to be found inside this enormous ball or shell. Neupert, who is reported as a Rosicrucian of Augsburg, claims in his book to have been the discoverer of this cellular cosmogony, and the illustrations and pictures in his book are wholly different from those adopted by Koresh after he had made some investigations of his own. And we have had the benefit of later investigations made by some French scientists and others of the Rosicrucian organization in other parts of the world. Many eminent astronomers have frankly admitted in statements which we have in their own precise words that our present cosmogony has taught in the schools and colleges is very doubtful and contains many absurdities and unexplainable mysteries. However, there is still some unsolved mysteries in the cellular cosmogony, and our students are advised in reading these supplementary lectures taken from various sources inside and outside of our organization that they should not form a positive conclusion one way or the other, but keep their minds open and realize that there is something wrong somewhere in our knowledge of the cosmogony of the universe, and that probably someday newer revelations and discoveries will reveal a wholly different cosmogony from either the Copernican, or that which is called the cellular cosmogony. Fundamentally, the Rosicrucians were interested in Germany and the cellular cosmogony long before either Neupert or Koresh prepared their books. Because if the earth is a sphere upon the outside of which we live, then it is the only exception in the whole of the universal scheme of things. For from the smallest living thing to the largest, all life is contained within a cell and not on the outside of it. Those who look upon the cellular cosmogony as an unacceptable explanation, because they say it leaves the outside of the cell an incomprehensible mystery, seem to forget that if we really live on the outside of the earth, then the idea of unlimited space around that shell is a greater and more incomprehensible mystery than knowing nothing of the outside of the shell while living on the inside of it. One of the principal objectives of the Rosicrucian teachings is to provoke thought or to provoke thinking, and while the Rosicrucian teachings contain a vast amount of definite positive knowledge, which constitutes its regular graded lectures based upon all available sources of knowledge, there is still a large field of speculative knowledge which has not been proved neither true or untrue, and this speculative knowledge is contained in separate lectures or lessons sent to lodges or groups of our members for supplementary reading at different times in order to provoke analytical thinking. Most of these lectures are called Rosicrucian Analytical Discussions. Others, like the Cosmology, are issued under the subject titles. Such matter is taken for every available book, record, writing, or manuscript or lecture by any person who has given the subject thought and careful study. In this way, the system used in universities or colleges for supplementary reading and study is carried out in order to make the Rosicrucian system of instruction and mental development as rounded and complete as possible. New books issued weekly and monthly in Europe or America are purchased by our research development and carefully read and analyzed in the hope of finding new light upon disputed points or new viewpoints upon old questions. And whether something of interest to our students is found, it is presented in some of our supplementary lectures, or in a magazine article, or otherwise not as a part of the definite graded instructions of the Rosicrucian work, but as a part of the entire system of home study and reading. In looking at Neupert's claims which he set forth as his discovery of cosmic optics, we are struck with the fact that he was surrounded by many who had been discussing the mystery of the Earth's cosmogony for many years, and in fact he plainly intimates that many had written on this subject and that very many had refused to accept the Copernican theory of the Earth's form, and the statement that we lived on the outside of the Earth. The Copernican system was wholly a theory, as he admitted himself, and as every great astronomer or cosmologist admits today. Neupert makes the interesting statement regarding his cellular cosmogony. The more the reader studies the arguments of the author for a cosmos within a hollow sphere, the less able will he be to disregard this overwhelming, convincing nature. Certainly, life is filled with mysteries unsolved and unknown, and all of the knowledge which we have, even though it requires thousands upon thousands of volumes to contain it. Briefly, it is but a small fraction of the wonderful knowledge and important revelations held just beyond the veil and awaiting the continued explorations into the domain called the Arcana. Thank you for watching, and please don't forget to share, like, subscribe, and comment. And if you can, please consider donating to Wars of the Rosies. Links to PayPal and Patreon are in the description. Thank you so very much.